Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna try to do a video of my like birthing experience, this time like labor and delivery, and just what's been going on, like what was going on the last few months of my pregnancy, really. I now have a vlog up here of when I went to preterm labor. So then after I went to preterm labor, they wanted me to come back every week for a cervix check. So I would go and do that every week, and I pretty much stayed at what I was like 1 centimeter and like 30% thin. I pretty much stayed at that until like I think 36 weeks maybe. So I actually, when I went to my I think like 36-week appointment, let me back up. The day before my 36-week appointment, I was 36 weeks and 3 days. And I went for an ultrasound, a non-stress test and everything was fine. And then the next day when I was going to my appointment, I felt a gush of something, which I thought was my water, and I ended up going to my appointment really fast, and it was not my water. And they said it could have just been a bunch of cervical mucus because it was not pee, and I knew it wasn't pee. So while I was there, though, they did my blood pressure check. They were doing my regular appointment stuff after they made sure it wasn't my water, and my blood pressure was elevated. And as you guys know, I was on blood pressure medicine and stuff, so I went up to triage, and my blood pressure stayed elevated. I got admitted for a 24-hour urine, and all of that came back borderline, basically. Sorry. It's a mess because of toys, and I just cleaned yesterday. Sorry, I wanted to feed. But I came back borderline, which is pretty normal. Oh my gosh. Which is pretty normal for me, especially around 37 weeks. That's just how my pregnancies have all trended. So, I told her, I was like, the doctor that was there for my practice wasn't because I go to maternal fetal medicine, so I'm high risk. So there's a bunch of doctors, and you're supposed to see every single one at least once, and that it doesn't usually work out like that, but it doesn't matter which one you see. You just schedule an appointment with who you got. So when she was there, I told her, I said, I don't know why I'm getting induced or why she scheduled it for 39. I was like, I've been induced at 37 weeks every time. I was like, I'm not feeling very well. You guys are telling me to go home and rest. I have 2 other children to take care of. So that's not a plausible thing for me to do. I was like, so I don't know what to tell you guys, but I just don't, I was advocating for myself and my child really well because I just didn't think it was safe. I thought that it would turn into preeclampsia if they waited any longer. Even being on the blood pressure medicine, that was just my mom instinct. That was what I was thinking. So she said, yeah, I don't know why it's 39. She's like, I would say 37 or 38 is what they should be doing. I don't know why. I'll talk to her and then I'll let you know. So I scheduled my 37-week appointment. It was like a follow-up too from the hospital visit. I got in on that Monday, so I stayed from Friday night into Saturday at the hospital. And I called them on Monday and got in that day because I told them, I was like, it's urgent. I need to talk to a doctor about this because it's crazy. So I went to my appointment that day, and when I got there, I didn't really even have to advocate for myself that much because she said, yeah, I can't induce you at 37 because she's like, really, since the last time you even have been pregnant, within the last year, really, the guidelines have kind of changed and stuff. So she said, I can't induce you at 37. I don't have, the lab work to do that. I don't have, she's like, so you are borderline. She's like, but you should not go past 38 weeks. She's like, so she's like, make the decision myself. I'm going to make the executive decision and I am going to schedule you for an induction at 38 weeks instead of 39. So I was happy with that. I felt like that was fine. You know, my blood pressure was doing okay. I was like, okay, I can make it another week. So I did. I mean, I didn't feel very well for that week. My blood pressures were up and down a lot, even on the medicine. So then on the 14th, so at this point I was 2 centimeters and like, I think 50% thinned out before I went for my induction at 37 weeks. That's what I was. When I went, or at 36 weeks, that's what I was. So when I went for my induction on the 14th, I was 3 centimeters already, and I was 60% thinned, and he was at -3 station. So I was very favorable for induction. I started the pit at 9 o'clock, around like 9 a.m. And then I was, sorry, and not to go backwards at this point, but also I had SPE this pregnancy, and my joints were just hurting a lot worse than they had in other pregnancies. So I was to the point too, like I told him, I was like, you know, I'm like afraid, like my hips and stuff are gonna start dislocating soon. So I was glad it got pushed up for that reason as well. But yeah, I started the placement at 9 a.m. that morning. Oh my gosh, this dog. And so I started that, and then at like 12 they checked me and I had not changed. So that was a little discouraging, but he went ahead, my water got broke. Okay, well, but then I went, he broke my water, and then they upped the pit, and I ended up getting quite a big dose of pit, but I was at 5 centimeters the next time they checked me, and that was around 245, I think 250. So then after that, it was, it went pretty quick after that, actually. I was going through my contractions just fine. I was mostly sitting on a rocking chair. I don't know why. That just seemed to help me the best. What do you want? Okay, so then we, you know, I was on the rocking chair most of the time. I don't know. It just seemed to be the spot that felt the most comfortable to me. I was doing this unmedicated, so I moved around quite a bit. Like I said, I was in the rocking chair a lot. It just seemed, I think, like just the rocking motion kind of helped as like a distraction. And then I would get on the bed with the peanut ball on one side. Like I would lay down on one side and have it in between my legs for like 30 minutes, and I would switch to the other side. And that just really just like helps to open your cervix and stuff. So I would do that, and I didn't really walk a lot just because it just felt better, like I said, to like be on the bed with the peanut ball or be on the rocking chair. So as I was on the rocking chair, I had my bloody show then. So I then, I don't know, it just seemed like my contractions were getting a little bit more intense. But I mean, I was handling it pretty well. In between the time I was talking to my husband and my mom during the contractions, I was not really able to speak. There was a few I was able to get a couple words out when Nick or my mom would ask me questions. Then we had a lady come in our room and start breaking it down for delivery, and we kind of thought that was weird. We were like, what is she doing? Like, I'm not ready to deliver. And then finally Nick was on the phone with his with my dad and it said the room number, and the lady was like, oh my gosh, I'm in the wrong room. So she left really fast and asked the nurse, and the nurse was like, it's fine, just leave all this stuff up, it's fine, they're all in bags, it's all sterile, so it's fine. So they kind of just pushed that to the side. But not long after that, the nurse came in there, and I think it was around 5 something, and like it was just getting intense, and I told her, I was like, I feel like the need to push. I was like, I am feeling the pressure. Sorry, the males are on 8 centimeters, and I was feeling a lot of pressure. That's what it was. I was 8 centimeters. Sorry, I forgot to say that part. I forgot where I was. So yeah, when I was feeling the pressure, she had the doctor come in and he checked me and he was like, yeah, you're 8 centimeters. So remember, I'm going unmedicated. So at that point, it got pretty intense. It was like the transition labor. And you know, I know, like, I've read stuff. So, you know, most people say that transition is the worst part, and it is the worst part. I did not have much of a break in between my contractions. It was really difficult. I ended up getting on my knees, and they raised the head of the bed up, and I kind of leaned over that, and Nick rubbed my back, and it was just, I mean, it was bad at that point, but I was still, they were like, you're handling them very well. So then I told him, I was like, I have to push. I was like, I feel like I'm going to push. So it was like 15 or 20 minutes later, and they got the doctor, and they were like, you're 9 now. They were like, but I was not completely thinned yet. I was only like 80 or 90, I think. And I guess his head was like a little bit just offset from where it should be. So then the doctor was like, have her lay on her side, the peanut ball, and I think that'll work. So I did that, and laying like that, it was very hard to cope with the contractions. From 9 to 10, it was like in an hour, I think, or less than an hour, like 30 minutes maybe, 45. And it was the most intense pain I've ever felt in my life. And I mean, I have EDS. I deal with pain every single day of my life, and it was by far the worst pain. And it wasn't, what bothered me more than the pain was the feeling, the need to push and getting told I can't push. So I actually made it to like 9.5 centimeters, but I was completely thinned out, and they said, just let her go ahead and start pushing. They were like, do you want to move to your back? And I was like, nope, I'm doing it like this. I was laying on my side. If you guys watched my like birth vlog, like the birth video that I had, if you noticed in the picture I posted, I was laying on my side when I delivered him. I pushed for less than 5 minutes and he was out. It was just a very fast delivery. His face actually ended up getting bruised because of it, and a little bit on his head, just because it was so quick. And the pushing actually did not hurt, like, really at all, because it felt good. Like, when you feel like you need to push and they're telling you no, the pushing just comes as a relief. Really, when I was pushing, the only thing that really hurt was what they call the ring of fire, when you're crowning, and it is a literal ring of fire. That's what it feels like. But I mean, honestly, the ring of fire just made me push harder, because I was like, this burns really bad, so I just pushed harder for him to come out. So yeah, he was born at 6:10 p.m. on January 14th, and I expected him to be bigger than my girls, because it was a week later than what I had with them, but also I just thought he was bigger the whole entire time. He was measuring like in the 60th to 70th percentile the whole time. So I expected him to be bigger, but I was expecting like maybe like 7'4", 7'5", and he was 7 pounds and 14 ounces. And I figured he was longer because I'm not very tall. So I kept feeling his legs and stuff like in my ribs like really, really bad. And I told my mom, I was like, he has to be longer than what they were. So he was 20.5 inches. So yeah, I actually would recommend going unmedicated to people, because afterwards it was so nice, like not being numb from the epidural. After my skin-to-skin time with him. The nurse had me right up. I walked to the bathroom. I cleaned up with like some wet rags and got a new gown on, got the pad and the mesh underwear on, and it was good to go. It was nice. I felt really good. And then I didn't tear. I had one little tear, but they didn't have to do anything. It was so small. So then we got up to our room a couple hours later. And yeah, and also when he came out within 10 minutes, he was latched on and breastfeeding just fine. So this was by far my favorite labor and delivery experience that I have had. If I would ever have another child, which I'm not going to, but if I did, I would definitely go unmedicated again. It was just, but I will say, advice for anybody trying to do that, you need to have support people with you that understand that that's what you want to do. Like I talked to Nick beforehand, I told him, I was like, there's probably going to be times when like I look like I'm gonna want an epidural, or I say that to you, I was like, but I'm probably not gonna mean it. So we just kind of, he knew, he didn't really say, he just, a few times he said, are you sticking to your plan? And that's what he would say, and that was it. My mom didn't really ever, she knew that I wanted to do that. She didn't ever say epidural. They just helped me through the bad contractions. Your water made your mouth red. And then, also I think what helps is my nurse knew that I wanted to do that. So she, not once did she mention an epidural. Not once. All she did was help me cope with the contractions. So I know a lot of times nurses, it just seems like, well, they'll say, oh, well, you know, don't be a hero, get an epidural, and I just feel like that's probably not what they
I was a baby, and I was, and now,
so I just feel like that's, crucial to it. Just make sure, you know, that you have support people helping you during that. So yeah, everything was fine in the hospital. He's doing really well. When he went for his 1 week, when we brought him home, he was 7'9". When he went for his 1 week checkup, he was 7'7", which it was like 2 days after we got out of the hospital that he went for that. And then a week later, he was up to 8'4". So he's gaining pretty well. He's already wearing mostly 0 to 3 month clothes. We already had to switch him to size 1 diapers because the size newborn, he was like peeing out of at night. So we went ahead and switched him to size 1 diapers. So he's doing well. The only thing is he does have a hip click. So it wasn't terrible, but she said he's probably going to have to get sent for an ultrasound of it at 2 months to rule out hip dysplasia. So I know that can be common in breech babies to have like clicky hips, and my younger brother had it without having hip dysplasia, but it still does. All right, but okay, it still does worry me a little bit, but I'm trying not to like dwell on it. Because if he has it, he has it, and that's fine. He was breech for a long time during my pregnancy. He kept flipping back and forth, and he was laying transverse and stuff. Yeah, I pushed him out.
Okay.
That's a little update on that, and like just telling my story. I also my actual
Play-Doh started. Yes.
Okay, put like my actual like postpartum recovery
Play-Doh time.
has been really good. I felt quick.
Okay.
I felt kind of like really like a lot of tightness like in my upper shoulders and like my neck, and they said it's just probably from tensing up during the contractions. Besides that, like my cramping was really bad, and they said, yeah, it gets bad with every pregnancy, and usually the third one is the worst. They're like, we don't usually tell people that until after they have their baby, just because we don't want to scare people. And I was like, oh, so like it was pretty intense. It kind of felt like labor contractions, not just like menstrual cramping. It was like, it legit felt like contractions for a couple days. And you know, breastfeeding like heightens that, so it was pretty rough cramping wise for a couple days, but my actual like bleeding was way better. I just felt way better going unmedicated than I did after my epidural births. So that's another reason I would recommend it to people if like that's something you're interested in. Definitely like go for it. But I now am feeling the effects of pregnancy and EDS. I feel like my joints are now adjusting to like try like not having the extra rate of pregnancy, not having extra fluid, and just like going back to their like normal state. So my hips and my back has been hurting really bad, and my legs, my neck has been pretty bad, and my shoulders are just tight. Oh, okay, hold on. So EDS wise right now, it is not very good. I am gonna have to get into therapy like in February. My physical therapist is actually on maternity leave until February anyways. So once I have my 6 weeks postpartum visit, I will get the all clear to start physical therapy again, and I will go and start with her. But I do have to transition to adult care this year. So I will be trying to do that eventually as well. So hopefully, I can just do like some stretches here and have Nick like massage my muscles, and hopefully I won't have any dislocations. I haven't so far, but I am kind of expecting it at this point because of how they feel. Just it's the pain of it. My blood pressure seems to be under control at this point. My POTS seems to have calmed down since I've delivered. I have not had a lot of crazy episodes. So I think my POTS was just going crazy because of my pregnancy. So, it's also a good thing that I'm not going to have any more babies, because I think that my POTS would not be able to handle it as well. So, yes, for anybody wondering, as I've said, this is our last child. Luca is. Nick is going to go and get a vasectomy at some point. So, yeah. I'm going to try to be making more videos now that I'm not pregnant. And once we get more into like a routine, the last few days, Lily hasn't had school because of frigid temperatures. And Leah has become a little jealous. She wasn't bad at first, but now she's getting a little bit. This is kind of like how it goes. When I'm holding him or I'm feeding him or anything, she has to be right there. And Lily keeps trying to pick him up by herself and hold him. So right now we're just trying to like transition. But I do, and also that dog won't quit barking. So we're trying to figure out humane ways to help that. So if you have any suggestions for that, you guys can leave a comment and let me know. But yeah, we're just trying to transition into life with 3 kids, and said I also am, he's only he's like 2.5 weeks, so I'm still recovering myself as well. So hopefully I can start getting more videos out and start vlogging for you guys more, and especially once I start trying to get into physical therapy more and stuff. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.